This is the second lesson of level 1 on Honeysuckle Rose and Scrapple from the Apple. I did a general lesson about the form of the piece, and then I went into a little bit more detail for level 1. Now I'm going to go into detail about improvising over the sequence. There are 2 sequences for the middle 8 in these 2 tunes, but essentially the A section is the same. So I can generalise in terms of the 2 tunes for the first A section. So as I described in the first lesson, we're going from chord 2 to chord 5, and whether it's just a half bar of each chord, as in Honeysuckle Rose, or a full bar, we're still in the same key. So how do you go about improvising? Well, if you want a fix-it-all scale, you can't beat the pentatonic scale. So I'm going to show you the pentatonic scale on F major. It's F, G, A, C, D. We miss out the 4th, and we miss out the 7th. And both of those notes, if you're in a major key, can be a little bit problematic, especially the 4th. So that's nice because it's unlikely they're going to hit any notes that are going to go, ooh, not sure what that is. So I do like my pentatonic scales. I'm going to now improvise just using that pentatonic scale on the chords to Honeysuckle Rose in the A section. And you can see how it probably sounds just like a normal improvisation, but only using 5 notes. Okay, I'm going to probably put some stride in the left hand. And a little bit of confusion there at the end because I've got many changes. So at the end, when I'm going F, D, G, C, I had also replaced the D with a D7. So I can't play the D7 when I'm doing it with the pentatonic. Well, I could, but it's more appropriate to keep it all in the key of F major. If I was doing the same thing for Scrapple, all I'd need to do is just do the rate of change a little bit slower. So I'll do that with shell voicings in the left hand. And I sneakily put in a little chromatic note there, you might have noticed that, and that was an A flat. And that leads me nicely onto the idea that you can use blues notes. So blues notes, we could say the flat 3, so 3, maybe the flat 5, which is a B. And obviously there are elements from the blues scale. So the blues scale on F is F, A flat, B flat, B, C, E flat, F. Now if you're in a different key, say you're a trumpet or a saxophone, in fact saxophones are in a couple of keys, sometimes you're in B flat and sometimes you're in E flat, you would need to transpose that. But you can also look on my PDF and I should have all this information in your key. So if you have a look at that and you can get your blues scale from there. If I just played the whole blues scale for the A section, it would probably sound a little bit unsophisticated, because a lot of the notes don't actually fit F major. It's got an A flat, a B flat. We said we'd try and avoid the 4th, so that's kind of a bit not the greatest thing. There's a B natural. Well, if you play a lot of B naturals, it might sound a bit weird, and it's got an E flat, but in F major we've got an E natural. So essentially the blues scale can work, but you want to be very careful with it. So I'm going to show you now how to use the blues scale, but with taste. Okay, so I think I'm going to play the Scrapple changes, which is 1 bar of G minor and 1 bar of C7 with shell voicings in my left hand. And I was really struggling at the end. I don't know if you heard, it sounded very minorish. Because really it's something that I would use occasionally in this one, probably just to emphasise the flat 3 and to emphasise maybe the flat 5. So I was struggling there. So you have to use that blues scale very, very sparingly. And my advice would be keep to the pentatonic and add the odd A flat, and it'll sound pretty convincing. In the middle 8, it's a straightforward case of, if you've got a dominant 7th, use the Mixolydian scale. Now you can use the pentatonic, so you could use F major pentatonic, because the fact the 7th is flattened doesn't make any difference because there are no 7ths in F pentatonic. You could do the same on B flat, C, D, F, G, and then on G7, G, A, B, D, E, and then on C7, C, D, E, G, A. And again, if you're in a different key because you're not a pianist or an instrument in concert, you can see that on the PDF. So you've got the option of that, or you can play ideas based on the Mixolydian scale, and the Mixolydian, or the Mixolydian mode, which is the 5th mode, and that has a flat 7. So it's a major scale with a flat 7. And it sounds like this on F. And on B flat. And on G. And on C. So I'll just do a little improvisation, just sticking to the Mixolydian scale, and it should work. And I also played some phrases there where I really hammered out the pentatonic scale. So you can't really go wrong with pentatonics, and the Mixolydian is obviously a really good scale to base your improvisation on. Obviously, you don't want to just play scales, you've got to think of tunes. And so in the next lesson, I'm going to explore maybe the making up phrases on the chord tones rather than just thinking, oh, I'm in that key, I've got to play a scale. Because really music's about phrases and melodies and not just about scales. So join me for the next lesson.